If you're paying attention, this is just my excuse to very quickly record a video and publish it to my channel. But it's kind of fun when people hop in and chat. I'm still learning how all the features work, so that's interesting. But today's video, I want to just briefly talk about an experience that I had. So if you follow my stuff, you're going to see that I talk a lot about analog productivity. I am a very firm believer that I'll say all digital tools, literally every digital thing is engineered to capture our attention. And therefore, we lose control. And it really, when we lose control, I think that we are full of anxiety after that experience because something about our conscience is bothered when it was not us consciously deciding what to do next and for how long. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where, someone kind of tricks you into doing something you don't want to do, and then there's this fallout afterwards that you feel really terrible. And I'm convinced that even, of course, social media channels like YouTube do that, but also even just the tools on our computers that are designed to help us be productive, they also rope us in to get these usage patterns that justify more subscribers, more developers, more features, more market share, whatever, just growth. And it's not good. I think it's not good for us at a spiritual level. And I might talk more about that in a future video, but today I wanted to talk about a big epiphany that I had. This really jump-started a huge kind of renaissance of moving everything offline. Everything that can be moved offline. Most recently, I have been keeping my GTD system inside of Obsidian, which has been great. Obsidian is brilliant because you can link anything to anything, which is not good for Zettelkasten. It is good for GTD, especially if you live and work in a digital way. It's really great to be you can just so easily cruise around everything in Obsidian and get access to it. It's easy for your mind to get going and flowing. But I was running into the problem with digital tools, and the problem is always digital tools lean into complexity. There's no top limit to how complex your system can get if you want to build it in any digital tool, whether you're picking Google Tasks. I've got my little tutorial on Google Keep, or if you're using Obsidian, or Logseek, or just Google Docs. The page never ends. You can just keep adding and adding and adding. But then eventually, it becomes too big that you're not familiar with what's on your system, and you just can't. You just start just moving along. That's what was happening to me. And so I was like, I have a desire to move back into paper for everything. The GTD system, all the lists, and the reference material, and the project support. And the only thing that are going to be digital anymore are the things that have to be digital. And here is the experience that I had that really jump-started this whole thing. I filled up this pen with ink again. This is a Pilot Explorer fountain pen. This is a medium nib. I'll mention why that matters in a second. But this was the pen that I got more than a year ago when I started getting into GTD seriously and using my notebook and the Everbook system seriously, all that. This had a companion pen. Oh snap. This had a companion pen. There was another one that was white that had a fine nib, so I wrote really, really tiny, and it had black ink in it. And so that was my two systems, is I'd use the orange for headers, titles, and keywords, and I would use the black pen for the general text. And writing, if you've never written with a fountain pen, it's so great. It's a graceful experience because you don't have to apply any vertical pressure to get the pen to write. And so your hand feels free. And so I found that this writing experience with a fountain pen, I was moving. I had this velocity to writing that I had never had before because I think it was less physically taxing. And if you go from writing a handful of notes every day to I'm writing everything down for 8 hours. For 8 hours, I basically have a pen in my hand. Whether I'm writing long form things or just jotting down little notes, pen is in the hand, I'm writing. Second piece, I built my Everbook when I was using this paper. Now, this paper just looks like a white sheet of paper on video, but if you could feel it, it's thick. This is like 24-pound or 32-pound bond paper. I actually don't know because it didn't come in a case, so I don't know the quality, but I do know that it was a delight. It still is a delight to write on. And so this was great paper with the fountain pen. And in also using, if I was still using a Leuchtturm notebook, the paper quality in that is great. And so I dove in. I learned GTD. I was using an Everbook with this high quality paper. I was using pens that were just such a pleasure to write with. And I became insanely productive. Insanely productive. If you watched my stream yesterday, I talked about how if you're going to really do a getting things done system, productivity needs to become kind of a hobby that you stay on top of it. Like you give your attention there in your free moments. And I was doing that with my GTD system, but not because of GTD, but because I really enjoyed the materials I was using. So I really enjoyed the quality of the paper that I was using, and I really enjoyed the pen. But I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't self-aware. I thought it was the system only. And then I kind of got away from it. Well, here's what happened. The first chink in the armor was going to the library and printing out paper to use with their cheap paper. The public library uses the cheapest paper on planet Earth. And so if you go from using high quality paper to not so great paper, it's really a disappointing experience. But I didn't really think about that at the time. I was under the impression that like the fountain pens were losing their sparkle. That's what I was feeling. I didn't realize changing the paper quality was just terrible. And then the second thing was the companion pen to this one. The cap stopped working. I would just find that the cap would kind of just pop off. And so I stopped using that pen. That was my black one. And I was like, well, I never really replaced it with another one of comparable quality. It kind of bounced around to some other ones, but nothing really matched that Pilot Explorer pen. But I couldn't buy another Pilot Explorer because I didn't want to get one that the cap was just going to fail again. And then what else? So, I don't know. I just got fatigue. I didn't want to spend like $60, $80 on a really fancy fountain pen either because I was like, I didn't want to do that. So what happened then, as I'm summarize it, is the quality of my materials dwindled. And as I reflect, I go, oh yeah, my interest in maintaining my analog productivity system also dwindled. But now I'm sitting here, I say, I'm not sure that it was a problem with the system. I don't think I was aware of how drastic the effect was when I let my materials, my pen and the paper, downgrade in quality over time. That actually, I started to gravitate away because I remember I had this really pleasant, exciting writing experience, and then I drifted away, and now it's not fun. It doesn't feel as good as it used to. So what happened recently? What happened the other day? I pulled this pen out. I put some orange ink in it. What is this? Pumpkin diamine ink. Really love this color. And I started writing with it in my Leuchtturm notebook. All I needed to do, I outlined the GTD system for my wife. She and I are going to talk about it. And all I did was write out the stuff that's on this page. That's all I wrote. And it felt so good. Like, using this pen, I was like, this is amazing. I've not been using a fountain pen consistently for a long time on good paper. And I've been using fountain pens, but they've been not great ones. And for this one, Pilot just got it right. And I was like, this is so good, but I can't do that. I can't use this one. It's too thick. It's orange. I mean, I can switch the ink, but whatever. So I was like, you know what? We're going to go all in this thing. Here are the steps that I took. 1, I ran over to the local art store. I got a Lamy Safari with a fine nib. I did. I am a contrarian. Lamy, this is like the most popular fountain pen, and I said, I'm not going to get one. I'm going to get a I'm gonna get one of them specialized, off the beaten path fountain pens. I'm not gonna get a Lamy Safari, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it because what if I got to lose? If I hate it, I hate it. I've wasted $30. Turns out I really like it. That wasn't supposed to happen. I was not supposed to like something that's popular, but I did. It's like the pumpkin spice latte of fountain pens. Then I did some research. I really enjoy writing in the Leuchtturm notebook. The quality is brilliant of this paper. So nice to write with a nice pen on that nice paper. But then I had to go to Gemini, Google Gemini, and ask, like, what kind of paper do I need to buy to get something comparable? Because I want to do an Everbook, but I want the same quality paper. And so turns out you need at probably 24-pound bond, or if not 32-pound bond paper that's, I forget the name of it, like an opaque white for writing. That's like a stationary type paper, like it's a particular quality of paper. And so I have this idea for how to come back into an Everbook system. And I've decided, like, I've committed, I spent some money. One, get some stuff to ramp up the fountain pen situation. Two, I bought the specialized paper with a pre-printed dot grid on it. So you'll see that in an upcoming video once I've had some time to experiment with how I want to use it. And so I'm really excited now. I'm moving back into my analog system because I realized the system is great. The tools are great. Oh, snap. And I forgot to mention why it's so great. I'll get to that one second. Tools are great. It's great. And then here's the deal. Writing by hand feels like taking drugs. It does. If you've never written by hand for a lot of stuff, writing by hand feels like drugs. And I was like, what's going on? Yesterday, I was just working on my tasks list and organizing some stuff on paper. And I was like, I am so motivated. I am so, like, full of energy. And it's like 8 p.m. at night. I'm supposed to be tired. Cheers. Have a cup of coffee. Why am I so, so, of course, as one does, I open up a chat with Gemini, and they go, listen, Gemini's like, listen, bud, you're not on drugs. The experience you're having is actually not as extreme as it would be if you were on drugs. But what you are experiencing is flow, because handwriting propels you into a state of flow, into a state of being in the zone. Man, I need to make some standalone videos about this because it's such a remarkable thing. Like, how many people have a job that, like, on paper, like the job description, it's like, that should be really fulfilling. But every day at work, they feel like, this is gross. Well, I don't know that it's a problem with the job. I think it might be a problem with the system that they have to use the job. And the system, what's wrong with that system is it's on a computer. And if they would just bring it into the offline mode and hand write for their day-to-day productivity note-taking, it would propel them to being in the zone as if they were working a job they were passionate about. And here's how that works. Step 1, writing, it's a mental activity. That's like the first thing. Everything we do is a mental activity. Like wiggling this finger, my brain is setting the signal to wiggle the finger. It's a mental activity. But really for productivity, like, there's a lot to think about. There just is. There's a ton. And so you initiate with the mind, but then that immediately gets translated into action, a complex neurophysiological action. Like, there's a lot of stuff that has to move correctly to get words onto a physical page. It is as though you're running, or you're like playing a sport. It's not obviously as complex. Maybe it is as complex as playing basketball. It's just like the complexity is brought into a very tiny space. But it's taxing. You have to take this idea and translate it into a physical output. Awesome. Now what's happening? Your eyes are observing the output, and your eyes are retrieving feedback for how well that physical expression is going. See this loop? And then with the feedback, you are now refining the output process. It is a very complex thing that's going around. It is way more complex than just typing on a keyboard. And this sends us into flow. It creates this feedback loop where our whole brain is lit up and active, physical, visual, mental. Just thinking through the items. If you're, I haven't thought about this, but if you started talking to yourself out loud while you're writing, you'd engage your auditory system. Two systems there. The system of formulating the words, all the muscles involved, and then the second system of hearing yourself say the words. It activates other levels of processing. I'm going to try that, and I will get back to you on how it goes. But when you commit to writing by hand to do your day-to-day productivity, you will send yourself into the flow state. But what I'm here to say, why I started this video, is it is so much easier to get into the space of writing by hand to do your productivity stuff at work when you have tools that you really enjoy using. That because it's like flow doesn't start immediately. You have to write for a little while to get into flow, for all those feedback mechanisms from your mind to your hand to your eyes, for all that to start working. It takes just a few minutes to get there. But what doesn't take a few minutes is that moment where you start writing, and if you've got a nice pen and nice paper, that first stroke of your pen, it's like, oh, this is nice. I could keep doing this. I mean, there's pages in my notebook that are just garbage, because I was just like, I don't have any thoughts that I'm really thinking, but I am enjoying the physical activity of writing, and I'm just going to keep writing. I guess most people would probably switch to drawing or doodling at that point, but I would just write nonsense words. So, all right, if you're just coming to this video, come to watch. If you're on the stream, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this on the channel, appreciate it. Pro tips. Pro tip, quick summary of the last 17 minutes. It is this. If you're working a job that you don't enjoy going to work for, it might not be the job's fault. It might be the fact that you are not entering a flow state in your productivity. And you are not entering a flow state in your productivity because you're trying to do it on a keyboard and you're not using enough of your brain and your body. Therefore, switch to doing it in an analog system, on paper, whether that's an Everbook, a notebook, a bunch of paper on your desk, I don't really care. But be sure to use tools to write on paper that you enjoy using, that feel really good, just to start writing. And then let the flow take over. But you need that first moment of, I really enjoy writing with this stuff. All right, that's the stream for today. Thanks for tuning in. I got to figure out how to say end stream. I don't remember where the button is. But this will get posted on the channel too, so you can share it with your friends.